Hello, this is Rob Hamilton. I work for Neuone, and today I'd like to tell you about our powerful but easy to use new iPhone app, AirScan Mobile. To download our app, just go to the App Store and begin typing in the word AirScan in that search field there. A-I-R-S-C. Alright, now that I've typed in that many letters, our app is now the top one in the list there. AirScan Mobile Multi-Page PDF Scanner. That's us. Now, I already have it installed on my phone, so I'm not seeing the icon with the cloud and the down arrow here that you would normally click to start downloading it. I'll go ahead and just back out to the main screen so I can open the app normally. When you first open it, it'll take you right to the scan screen. You can switch between various screens by hitting this icon in the upper left here. You can go to Documents or Settings. I'll talk about those more later, but right now I just want to get right into scanning. To scan, just position your document in the scan window there and hit the scan button. And there it goes, it scans for me. One thing that I want to point out here is that I didn't actually scan from straight above. It's a little bit skewed. I just want to mention that, just remember that for a bit. AirScan Mobile will find the corners of the document for me. It helps that I'm scanning on a dark background today. That's one thing we recommend to help it find the corners a little better. And I can hit this button in the lower right that looks like a play button. It crops the image for me, and it also de-skews it. It loads in black and white. That'll give you the smallest file size. You can shift the darkness threshold with this slider near the bottom. You can also shift it to other types of enhancement besides black and white by hitting this button in the upper left. Not the far upper left, but the one just below that one. It looks sort of like a half moon. I'll tap it once, and it shifts it to color. Specifically, now I'm looking at the raw original image with no enhancement. I'll tap it again, it shifts to grayscale. The file size for grayscale will be a little bit bigger than for black and white, but not as big as it is for color. Tap it a third time, it shifts to a different type of color, this one with some enhancement on it. You might find that some color images work better as the original image with no enhancement, and others work better with this enhancement setting, so we give you the option there. And tap it a fourth time, and it goes back to black and white. Let me go with color, since there actually is a little bit of color on this page. I'll preserve that in the scan here. You could rotate it by tapping this button in the upper right. Of course, it was already right side up for me, so I didn't really need to rotate it. I'll just click Save here. Now it asks me to name my scan. I'm going to be incredibly creative today and name my scan Scan 1. Isn't my creativity astounding? I'll just click Done. Now, the first time you ever scan, you won't have any folders yet. And whenever you scan, you'll need to drag your scan into a folder to keep it organized. But creating a folder is real easy. You can see that arrow there points to that plus sign in the top right. You can just tap that plus sign, and it creates a folder for you. So I'll drag my document in there. You can rename the folder by tapping that button on the right that says Edit. Then tap at the top where the actual folder name is, and you can enter in whatever new name you want to give it. Alright, there we go. I've renamed the folder and it has that one page in it. By the way, now what we're looking at is the document screen. I mentioned before there's Scan, Documents, and Settings. Right now we're looking at Documents. Now, one of the things that's better about our app than just a normal phone camera is that we use PDF file type, so we can have multiple pages in a single file. So how do you do that? Say you've got a second page or something, how do you work the program to make it scan that second page into that file? Well, I'll tap the document thumbnail to open it up and view it. And now you can see that there's that plus sign down there at the bottom. I'll hit that plus sign. And let me get this first page out of the way so I can scan page 2 here. And I'll just scan it the same way. finds the corners, crops it as I hit this play button here, and I'll make this one color as well and hit save. So now I've got a 2-page document there. I could share this document in a number of ways. There's a little link on the lower right here, and you may notice that same link appears just to the left of the document thumbnail on the Documents page. And I'll tap that. It opens up all the different ways I can share it. Google Drive, SkyDrive, Dropbox, Box, Facebook, Twitter, iCloud, email, email to self easily, or just the local phone's camera roll. So it's an easy way to save or share in any of those different formats. One thing I mentioned earlier is settings. So we've looked at scanning, we've looked at viewing documents, let's look at settings now. One thing you can edit is the way that it shares. I'll tap Edit Share Settings here. You could share in JPEG instead of PDF if you wanted to, although I like to keep it on PDF. I think that's a little more useful. Then there are these share options here. That's the same list of things I just mentioned. What you can do here is you can disable any of these things individually if you don't want them to show up all the time when you're trying to share. But of course, I've got them all enabled so I can show you. Next after share settings is the scan quality. It defaults to original, which is the best quality, but you could lower it to great, which is a little bit worse than original, or good, which is a little bit worse still, or poor. The lower the quality is, then of course the images look a little bit worse, the small text might not be as easy to read, but you'll get smaller file sizes, and you'll be scanning faster that way, so that's up to you. Let me set it back to original there. Next up is voice recognition. That's an interesting feature. If your hand is a little bit shaky like mine, it might be useful for you to click voice recognition on. That way, instead of having to tap the scan button on the scanning screen, you can simply say scan, and it'll scan for you. Now, you see, now that I've been talking so much right next to my phone here, the phone has detected there's enough background noise, it automatically turned off voice recognition. So that's this next option here where it says check for noise. If that's on, it'll make it so that the voice recognition won't pick up when you don't want it to. It'll turn itself off if it hears too much interference, sort of. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off check for noise for the purposes of this training, so I can keep talking without making the voice recognition turn itself back off there. The next section here is scan page size. It defaults to US letter, so what I scanned so far today has become that size, US letter. But there's also options for US legal, A4, receipt, and freeform. Now, for some receipts you might want to use freeform instead of receipt, funnily enough. They're both there for your option, and they both have a little different way that they work. So the way that the receipt setting works is it tries to take whatever you scanned and make it conform to an 8 cm wide image. But then it adds on some image area around the edges to make the result actually be US letter size. If you wanted it to actually stay the size that it is in the first place, then you can use freeform for that. Then it won't add anything on the side, and it won't try to stretch or change the document at all. Then there's the delete all documents option. That's pretty straightforward. And then there's a link to review AirScan Mobile. Of course, we encourage you to do that. We're confident you'll give us a pretty good review if you actually use the app, so by all means, go ahead and give us an honest review if you've got some time. We appreciate any and all feedback. I do want to go ahead and do one last scan to show you scanning a receipt and also to show you the voice recognition. Now earlier I showed you adding another page to an existing scan, but if you wanted to make a new scanned document, then you can just go to the scan window using this icon on the upper left here, as I just did, and whatever you scan from there will be a new document. So I'll just scan this receipt. Scan. And there you go. That's how voice recognition works. And since I left the scan page size on freeform, if I were to go through and save this and then share this, it would stay its real size and it wouldn't stretch out to US letter size or anything like that. And that's basically our app. I think that's just about everything that I wanted to talk about. We're going to have more detailed videos as well coming soon, sort of a user manual type video, where this was more of a quick start today. But anyway, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and download our app, try it out, and please leave us a review letting us know what you think. Thank you.